Welcome to radicalwellnesstv.com. Hi, this is Laura Lee, and I'm here to help you with some helpful tips on natural healing ways to be proactive in your own health. I am talking about today, we are radicalwellnesstv.com, by the way. I'm going to move in a little closer so I don't have to throw my voice as much. We're talking about early onset schizophrenia today, and I just explained these things. This is a pamphlet from NAMI, so you have an understanding of what could be in front of you, so then you can start doing natural means to either prevent or really go at it spot on. Anyway, what is early onset schizophrenia? What is schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a major psychiatric illness. Symptoms usually begin in late adolescence or early adulthood. Numerous studies have found that about 1 in every 100 people around the world has the disorder. However, schizophrenia with an onset in adolescence prior to age 18 is less common, and an onset of the disorder in childhood before age 13 is exceedingly rare. It is thought that at most 1 in every 100 adults with schizophrenia develops it in childhood. Symptoms and diagnosis. In both adults and children, the symptoms of schizophrenia can be divided into two broad categories: positive symptoms and negative symptoms. Positive symptoms include hallucinations, usually voices which are critical or threatening; delusions, which are firm beliefs that are out of touch with reality and which commonly include the fear that people are watching, harassing, or plotting against the individual. Disorganized speech, which is often seen as the inability to maintain a conversation, usually as a result of difficulty staying on topic; or disorganized or catatonic behavior, which can include behavior that is unusual and bizarre, or can be demonstrated by difficulty planning and completing activities in an organized fashion. That's the positive symptoms. The negative symptoms include reduction in emotional expression, lack of motivation and energy, or loss of enjoyment and interest in activities, including social interaction. Schizophrenia is diagnosed by the presence of two of the symptoms described above. For a diagnosis of schizophrenia, two of these symptoms must be present for at least 6 months and must be accompanied by increased difficulty in daily living in areas such as school, friendships, and self-care. Hallucinations or delusions in a child should lead to an evaluation by a mental health professional who has experience working with children and adolescents with mental health disorders, like transitions in San Luis Obispo. A diagnosis of schizophrenia is made through an interview with the child and parents using information obtained from them and from school personnel. Difficulties in diagnosing schizophrenia. Many of the symptoms seen in people with schizophrenia are also found in people with depression, bipolar disorder, or other illnesses. As a result, studies have found that misdiagnosis is common. This is particularly true with children and adolescents. As such, it is extremely important to rule out other diagnoses such as depression, bipolar disorder, and substance abuse used before making a diagnosis of schizophrenia. An additional difficulty in making a diagnosis in children and adolescents relates to the fact that hallucinations are surprisingly common and, in fact, are most often seen in children and adolescents with diagnoses other than schizophrenia. In a large study at the National Institute of Health, the great majority of those previously diagnosed with schizophrenia did not receive that diagnosis following careful evaluation. In many children with other conditions, the nature of hallucinations is different. While hallucinations in people with schizophrenia are often pervasive when not well treated, many children with other conditions such as mood disorders and dissociative disorders report auditory hallucinations when they are under stress. These hallucinations tend to be brief and very intermittent, lasting for a few minutes. Also, children are very susceptible to leading questions and therefore should be asked about symptoms in a neutral fashion, i.e., not "do you hear voices?" Children with pervasive development disorders, autism, Asperger's disorder, or an unspecified pervasive developmental disorder often have social difficulties, disorganized behavior, and language impairments. These developmental disorders can be confused with the diagnosis of schizophrenia. On the next part 2, we're going to talk about prognosis of early onset schizophrenia. Love life, and life will love you back. Do everything in nature that is provided for you to be able to set yourself straight up again. radicalwellnesstv.com. See you in the next video. Hope you could like and share, and please comment.